much for joining. We are going to start the session now. I believe everyone will be on mute right now. We'll have a Q&A at the end, but we will try to answer all your questions. Please type them in the chat for each of our speakers. We have 2 speakers this morning. We have Nuncio and we have Georgina, who will be our guest speaker. Dev, if you'd like to start us off.
Certainly. Good morning, all. I'd like to give a welcome to everyone who's joining the session this morning. Long in coming, my name is Devendra Sharma. I'm the head of infrastructure and business for Fujitsu in the region. I think I like to call it's just a fancy term for classic IT, but even classic IT in the day of COVID and quarantine is quite relevant because we all have to use a lot of these digital solutions and digital workspace solutions. So we decided to host this event with our partners VMware. I think most of you all are familiar with VMware being in the virtualization space, but VMware also has a very strong list of solutions in the digital workspace. And that's where we're here today, to give you some idea or peek into the opportunities that VMware can present to solve securely and efficiently the issues with working at home and remotely, right? So without further ado, I'll hand over to Sinead, and she'll introduce you to our 2 panelists. All right, Sinead?
Thank you, Dev. Hello and good morning again. Welcome, everyone. My name is Sinead Piankuru. I am the channel sales manager for Adistec Caribbean, one of the hardware and software distributors that support Fujitsu Caribbean. Please allow me to introduce you to our first speaker today. His name is Mr. Enunciante de Maria. I practiced this all night. I'm so sorry, Enuncio. He is an anywhere workspace specialist at VMware for over 6 years. He specializes in all solutions for digital workspace with focus on the end user experience. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Whenever you're ready, Nuncio. Sorry, I think you're on mute.
Okay, now, yep, can you hear me properly? Okay, great. So thanks a lot, Sinead, and the team from Fujitsu. Thanks a lot for all the invitees, the people that is joining this session. As it was mentioned, my name is Nuncio Di Mare. Annunciante is my full name, but Nuncio is, you can call me Nuncio. I work on the vertical at VMware, where we look after all this portfolio of solutions that has to do exactly with everything that our employees needs to be able to fulfill, to perform their daily tasks in the best way possible. It's about the employee experience. That's what we call this journey to the future-ready workforce. And why is that? It's important to be able to bring this type of conversations nowadays because with everything that it's been happening since the beginning of the past year, definitely we have seen quite a shift in the priorities of our organizations. Basically, by the beginning of 2020, probably we had certain priorities for certain projects, and everything shifted, no? And shifted in the terms that we needed to adapt to changing conditions. We needed to improvise a little bit in terms of how we were able to provide the proper tools for a lot of people to be able to work from home remotely, which was not part of the original plan for sure. We needed to strengthen a lot of security settings, a lot of security tools in order to be able to extend this security perimeter of our organization as we used to know it, and extended it now to these flexible work styles. No, so that means basically that we needed to start working on how to become an anywhere organization where we can handle a distributed workforce. So that is the main topic of this conversation today. I'm completely open to take questions, comments. This session is for you guys to be able to make the most out of it. And when we start to think about this, how we can help our organization to become this type of anywhere organization, it is important that we think in terms of the employee experience. And the employee experience is composed of three key elements. We have the physical environment on one side, we have the cultural component as well, and specifically under the current conditions, the physical environment nowadays, it's a little bit more challenging because we need to accommodate all of these requirements for social distancing. Where do we hire the employees now? All of the whole process of onboarding and hiring and onboarding is now virtual. We need to accommodate even the density of the amount of people that is going to be able to be at the office at certain point in time. And then the cultural component as well, in terms of we need to rethink what it means to manage a distributed workforce with all these new ways of collaboration, the new ways for the type of interactions that we're going to be having with each other. And the way to bring together these components is the third piece of this employee experience, which is the technology. The technology is the enabler. It's going to be the part of the equation that is going to allow us to bring together all these aspects of the employee experience. So in terms of this, of fulfilling this type of integral experience, I would say, we're going to be focusing on three key pillars, I would say. One of them is being able to work on having our employees engaged by having a rich employee experience, by providing the proper self-service tools to our employees, by empowering our employees. Definitely, we're going to have a much better environment, much ready environment for these employees to be able to be more productive and be engaged, because it's important that they are engaged with the organization and the work that they do. For this, it's important that we take certain steps in terms of what needs to be done within our organization in terms of the IT modernization that needs to take place so we can provide all of these tools the proper way. And one key parameter, this third pillar that we need to take into account, it's key because security is paramount for all of these flexible work styles, working from home, future ready workforce type of initiatives. Because as I said before, this perimeter, as we used to know it, the security perimeter has completely dissolved now. The perimeter nowadays is basically the identity of the user. And we need to be able to decouple the identity of the user from a specific endpoint, and a specific device, or a specific application. And if we manage to abstract that and being able to manage that from a macro level, that is what is going to help us a lot in moving into the right direction. So that's why it's key that we can provide all of this digital workspace type of approach, but under a zero trust security type of approach as well. So when we start to work on this digital workspace approach, normally what I found with the different organizations that we work with the customers that we talk to, is that they have a very complex landscape of tools, of resources. Because there are several initiatives that are related to what we call a digital workspace. And this starts from the different type of initiatives that we can point out, like managing the devices, okay? All the different devices that we can have, from the typical Windows devices to the smartphones like Android, iOS based, Mac, that we start to see a lot of Mac in the organizations. Then how we can organize and provision properly all of the applications, okay? Like business applications, internal applications, productivity applications, how to present them in one unified app catalog, simplifying the access to those tools with integration of identity components. One of the key elements that we've seen for this digital workspace is how we can work the virtualization piece, how we can provide virtual desktops or virtual applications, and keeping at the front end, all the security elements. We've seen a lot of organizations working tirelessly on provisioning VPNs for a whole lot of users that they didn't expect it. No? So when you start to put together all of these pieces, it's very complex, and stitch them together to try to create this kind of digital workspace definitely tends to be challenging. No? And when we start to consider all these different initiatives, no, from the point of view of not only that it's difficult to stitch them together, but the fact that there is a cost associated for each one of those initiatives, then definitely this starts to pile up in terms of costs as well. Costs not only from the point of view of the product, but cost from the point of view of operating all this fragmented environment, the costs of supporting different tools, different consoles, and so on. So part of the approach that we are bringing from VMware is to be able to provide one platform from where we can bring together all of these different initiatives, depending on the priorities that are of relevance for the different use cases or profiles of users that you can have within your organization. So what exactly is this Workspace ONE platform that we're trying to bring with Fujitsu, with Aristech from VMware? Well, basically, as we mentioned before, no, we're talking about three key pillars, which are based on the employee engagement, the IT modernization, and the zero trust security. There are four components that are related to them, which is one, how do we secure, how do we manage, how do we take control of the full life cycle management of those endpoints that we're dealing with on a daily basis, and how we can make it flexible for our employees to be able to use, whether it is a device, laptop, smartphone, tablet, that is being provided by my organization, or if I have to use my own laptop or tablet that I have at home, then that I can use it as well. So that is the whole device management component. Then the flexibility to be able to deliver applications or desktops from wherever they are in a more agile way and a more secure way. That's where virtualization comes into play, so that we can provide all of the different scenarios to be able to deliver, whether it is a full desktop experience through a VDI, virtual desktop infrastructure, or whether it is just specific applications that I can package and I can virtualize and present those specific applications to the users. Then a key component for all of this experience to be orchestrated together are the access services. Access services is basically the capabilities for us to be able to integrate with the Active Directory that you can have, whether it is an on-prem Active Directory, or if you are already adopting, let's say, Office 365 and you have an Azure Active Directory, that we can integrate with that one or with both of them at the same time. This means as well that we can do even the brokering capabilities. If you have already certain identity and access management tools within the organization, we can integrate with those tools and work as a single sign-on layer to be able to simplify the access to the different applications and resources that you have within your organization. From these access services as well, we can provide capabilities like second factor authentication or multiple factor authentication. So under a specific conditional access parameters, we can enforce additional levels of security. For example, when people is connecting from home with a device that is of personal use, then we can probably enforce a second layer of security authentication. And then apart from the device management capabilities, it's important that we can take full control of the endpoint security, how we can minimize threats, how we can identify risks and mitigate those risks, how we can act upon certain threats, malwares, and so on, and being able to react to quarantine device, take actions, the provision profiles in an automated way. So all of that is part of the endpoint security component. And when we put together all of this is where we are able to address all of the needs or the requirements of the different stakeholders of our organizations, from all the way up from the C-levels, security, the line of businesses of the organization, HR. It's amazing how, depending on the different initiatives that we see in these three pillars, there are certain initiatives like onboarding processes, privacy of information, compliance, etc., that are directly related to HR. That's why we're going to start seeing more of a diverse and integrated type of approach with this digital workspace type of projects, where it's not only IT and security and infrastructure that is going to be involved, but other areas of the organization as well. And then, of course, the key component here, or the key objective, is to be able to address the needs of our employees, to provide them with the proper tools, with the proper environment. So basically, the message here is that we're trying to minimize the impact, the negative impact of having these fragmented environments where we have this type of silos for the different tools that we use within the organization, by having, for example, all these different tools with different operating systems. By having different operating systems, then you have different cadence for updates, upgrades for those operating systems, and then you have to manage different app stores for those different platforms. And nowadays, it's not only that I have to manage my desktop components like PCs, laptops, but I need to manage as well the mobile part, because those are critical now as well. And then it's not only the physical as we used to know it, but the virtual, because there is a lot of virtual desktop, virtual applications. So this definitely creates a lot of heterogeneity within the landscape of the organization. And this translates in most of the times in increased costs, because I have to, as I said before, manage different platforms, different consoles, support these different systems, and that creates even security posture issues for my environment. Okay, so what we're trying to do is bringing all of this together under one single umbrella of solutions that we call Workspace ONE, which is this intelligence-driven digital workspace approach, which is going to allow us to be able to deliver a very intuitive, rich, simple experience for the end user, but keeping with the security, regulations, compliance that we need to follow for the different verticals of the organizations that we work with. So under this approach is where we bring together all that life cycle of the employee experience, all the modern management approach, whether it is a mobile device or a desktop device, and it can be iOS, Android, Windows 10, Mac, Chrome OS, whatever it is, that we can bring it together under this one single platform, one single console, and then bring the capabilities and the power of virtualization for those specific use cases where I'm going to be needing to deliver those VDIs or those virtual apps, and being able, one component that is critical is being able to have the full visibility of my environment, okay? So I can collect all this data, aggregate all this data, and being able to correlate all this data and generate all of these analytics and create these rich dashboards that are going to allow me to identify risks and take remediation actions, but not only take remediation actions, but automate those remediations. That is more powerful, because that's where you're going to see a lot of improvement in the operations of your business. And one final component is to be able to provide as well the advanced remote management capabilities, because nowadays, as we've seen, we have a lot of people that's working from home. It's even more difficult to have that person-to-person approach as it used to have before, that if I was on the building and I had an issue with my laptop, I would go to the floor where the help desk people is and handle the laptop and check what is going on. That's not happening now, no? So now with these advanced remote management capabilities, let's say that I'm the administrator of the platform. Let's say that Sinead has an issue with the laptop. Then I can start a remote session from that same console, from where I manage all of the devices, I distribute the applications, I check the security. I can initiate a remote session to Sinead's laptop, and I can see what's going on. I can take control of the screen, and I can run certain commands. I can move some files over there to reinstall an application and help her in a more efficient way, okay? So when we try to map this vision of a digital workspace, okay, how does this translate into our portfolio at VMware? Very briefly, I just want to mention this so you can have that picture. Workspace ONE, as a platform that we deliver from VMware, it's, as I said before, I tend to call it like that. It's an umbrella of solutions that we put together. And it's composed of these different elements that we see in the screen. As we see in the upper part on the left-hand side, we have the virtualization component and the unified endpoint management components that we call Horizon and Workspace ONE UEM, Unified Endpoint Management. This is what we used to call, or what used to be called in the market, AirWatch. AirWatch was acquired by VMware, and always I do this analogy that like they put it in steroids and converted it into Workspace ONE UEM, because it's not only mobile devices now, it's mobile devices, desktop, all the different platforms, IoT, with much more capabilities, more granularity. And these two components are complemented by this third pillar, which is the identity and access management component, Workspace ONE Access, which is the one that I described before, that is going to allow us to do the directory integrations, two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, conditional access, single sign-on, etc. This component, normally, we're going to see it integrated here on the Workspace ONE UEM, or as well on the Horizon component. Then we have certain add-ons that we can start to build. Imagine that this is like a Lego, no? Depending on the use cases or profiles that I have within the organization, I can take the pieces that I need and then I start to put them together accordingly to those needs. Then for the analytics, remediation, and automation, we have the Workspace ONE Intelligence. For the endpoint security, we have now Carbon Black that was recently acquired by VMware to provide the capabilities of next generation antivirus, endpoint detection and response, quarantine of devices, etc. And for the advanced remote management capabilities, we have Workspace ONE Assist. So basically, this portfolio is the portfolio that allows us to deliver and fulfill the requirements of the organizations. And that's what happened a lot last year when we helped a lot of customers in transitioning on the different stages post-pandemic, since the beginning when they had to react very quickly to this changing environment, and then reflecting on, okay, what was done, how was it done, what needs to be done better, and even help them on the mid to long term vision by rethinking what needs to be done differently in order to be able to provide that 100% flexible digital workspace. Okay, so just to close this first part before I go into a quick demo to show you a little bit of this experience of Workspace ONE, that is our vision, no? On bringing together this, what we call anywhere workspace, based on those capabilities of engaging the user by providing a full employee experience with the productivity and assurance, being able to address all the IT modernization needs and the whole security. And this is done by bringing together this portfolio where we have not only the Workspace ONE component, as I mentioned before, Carbon Black for the endpoint security piece, and what we call now VMware SASE. SASE, it's one key component that is going to bring together everything. It's going to bring together pieces of Workspace ONE, Carbon Black, plus our technology of SD-WAN, VeloCloud, Cloud Web Security. So we can provide what we call this a Secure Access Service Edge. That is SASE, Secure Access Service Edge. And you're going to be hearing a lot about this in terms of how this is going to be able to put together many of these different pieces from Workspace ONE and other pieces of the VMware portfolio, the extended VMware portfolio, to provide a full anywhere workspace experience. Okay, so very quickly, I'm going to switch now to a quick demo so we can make the most out of the time that we have for our session today. For that, what we're going to be seeing is that you're going to see here in my screen that we have my browser, and I have as well my mobile device available here. Okay, the idea is that you can see all of the details of what is my experience as a VMware employee in terms of using this type of digital workspace experience. On a normal day, what I do, I start my day by logging into my portal, login.vmware.com, okay? And as you can see, as I type it, login.vmware.com, you're gonna see that I'm already automatically logged in. I'm identified as an end user computing specialist. Based on that, on this tab of the favorites, I'm gonna get provision the different applications that I need on my daily basis. For example, my productivity applications, we use now Office 365. We used before Office virtualized, as you can see here through Horizon. That's why you see, for example, Excel here. You can see Word here. But now we use Office 365. From here, I can access my collaboration tools, for example, like Slack. We have as well our VMware Social collaboration tool. I have access to my CRM, Salesforce. I have access to different tools, like, for example, training tools. I have access to my intranet. Everything is here. And what is important is that from this portal, this is provided by the component of Workspace ONE Access with the whole single sign-on capabilities. And that means that, for example, if I need to go and access Office 365, I just click on that one, Office 365, and I'm already in, I'm logged in. I'm already logged in here. As you can see here at the top, I'm already identified here as Nuncio Imare, and I have access to all of my tools. If I need to go to my Outlook, if I need to go to my Word, PowerPoint, Excel, I have everything one click away, okay? So that is one of the key components there. If I need to go to my Salesforce, it's just one click away, and I don't need to worry about, wait a minute, what is the username and password for my CRM? What is the username and password for the SAP? What is the username and password for the intranet? That is in the past, okay? If I need to go into my intranet, again, just one click away, and I'm already automatically identified. I get the information that is relevant to my profile, to the role that I have within the organization, with the level of access that I need to have. That is very powerful, and that is even more powerful when you have that same experience from the mobile device, okay? In this case, for example, I'm gonna go into the same Workspace ONE portal, okay? Which is the one that we see here. This is the web version that I have on my laptop. This is a Mac, okay? And here I'm gonna access from my mobile device. Here is the Intelligent Hub, which is the one that takes me to that experience. So when I click here on the Intelligent Hub, I have the same experience. This is my favorites here, okay? With all of the applications, okay? As you can see, the same applications that I have. If I need to go into one of the applications, for example, Office 365, again, it's just one click away. No matter if it's the laptop, no matter if it's my mobile device, it's gonna do all of the capabilities of single sign-on as well. And there I go into all of my tools. It's that simple, okay? That's what we call about making it consumer simple, okay, but very secure in the back end. Then I have additionally a full catalog of additional applications. We can see it as well on my mobile device here. I have this banner where I have some applications that are standing out, okay, that are like these are new applications that we want to stand out. For example, we have COVID-19 updates, the intranet, VMware Source, work from home accessories, etc. I have the same banner. I have it here at the top on my mobile device, as you can see. Then I have, for example, recommended applications, the same that I have here. Then I have new applications that have been made available to me. We can see them here, and we can see them here. And then I have the full catalog of applications, all of them together, okay? And by all applications, I mean a lot of applications that we have at VMware. And I can self-serve those applications from here. That means I can just go, and I'm interested on this Grand Rounds application. I can click here, add to favorites, okay? And then I go back to favorites, and Grand Rounds is already available there. If I want to remove it, that's it. It's that easy to provision or the provision applications and self-serve applications. This is one of those key concepts that I wanted to mention. Additionally, from my mobile device, you're gonna see that I have all of a full list of applications here. where I can see all of the applications. I can see web applications, but it's interesting that as the portal knows that I'm in my mobile device, you can see that I can see specific mobile apps here as well. And then I can download these native mobile apps for iOS, okay, because he knows that I'm accessing from my iOS device. So that means that the application is even context aware of where I'm accessing from. I have the capabilities to integrate with my Active Directory as well. You can see on both sides. I can see my colleagues within the end user computing team in LATAM and my boss, and I can look for people, for example, colleagues of mine, where are they located? I can click here to send an email. I can see the phone. I can see who they report to. This helps me a lot to being able to navigate very quickly the organization and find people, find resources, get in contact. That is, I think this is very powerful. For me, it's very useful, okay? Then we have this notifications panel that we call here For You. These notifications panels informs me, for example, of certain priority notifications. Like, for example, we had by March 15, certain intermittent service with the Office 365, and we were notified here. And I would see it here, and I can see, and I would see it here on my mobile device as well. Then, if we need to make certain actions, it is notified here. Other informational events are for him of new applications, updates for applications, anything else is notified here as well. It's like a central place where I can get all sort of notifications, and I can even do integrations with other applications like Salesforce, Workday, Coupa, etc. Where, for example, I can even ServiceNow. I can get a ticket automatically created from ServiceNow, and I can be notified here if I need to take an action, approve or reject or complete certain of information. I can do it from here, from the notifications panel. And then on this last tab that it's called Oasis, Oasis is the name of the group that provides support to VMware employees. Normally you would see the name here as support, okay? This Oasis tab takes me to anything that I need to do, for example, to get support, okay? And in this case, I can get in contact with our people from support that is spread all around the globe. I can go here and log in a ticket on our Help Now platform. I just click there and I can start creating a ticket from there. Additionally, from here, I can see the different devices that I have enrolled under my name. I can see the Mac here. I can see the iPhone, which is this one that I'm using right now. I can use the iPad that is right besides me. And I can go there and I can look if the device is okay, if it's compliant, if I need to take any actions, I need to reinstall an application. I can do those type of self-serve actions from here. And even if I have to add a new device, it's super simple. Just click a new device. I can even just go by generate a QR code, a two-dimensional code. And then if I have the device with me, I can just scan this QR code and I can start the enrollment process. It's very simple. This is part of what we call employee experience, okay? So with that, I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna pass now the control to the rest of the team so they can share with us additional information, very valuable information. From my side, if you have any questions, I think that we're gonna be taking some questions probably at the end. Shinette, I don't remember, I forgot that part of the sequence.
we do have some questions for you, but
Okay.
yeah, we'll just I can just maybe let me just mention one of the questions that we have.
Yeah.
It's basically, could Workspace ONE offer a better way to secure connection for our employees than having to provision VPNs to all of them? I know security is something that is a big concern right now with the pandemic. So
Yeah.
could you just enlighten us a
Yes,
little?
absolutely. And that's one of the key concerns that we see with almost all of our customers, how we can make it better, make it simpler to be able to provide all the security measures that we need to take under this very flexible type of workspaces that we are working on nowadays. And yes, we can provide capabilities so you don't need to depend on, for example, a third-party VPN. We have our own technology within the Workspace ONE platform, which is called VMware Tunnel, that replaces the needs, for example, for a third-party VPN. So embedded into our own technology, you can leverage that so you can do even what we call per app VPNs, which is even more interesting because you can do VPNs for specific applications. In the normal way, when you do a VPN, when you use a third-party VPN client, you provide a VPN for the whole device, for all of the applications. So if there is something else that has probably a risk associated, then you're going to be more exposed. In the case of per app VPNs, you go just to those specific applications and you provide that tunnel, secure tunnel, to the specific part of your organization where you need to connect to, for example.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I hope that answered the question that came to us. So thank you so much, Nuncio. We're going to move on now to our final speaker, our guest speaker for today, Ms. Georgina Terry. Let me just give you some insight onto Georgina. Georgina Terry is a qualified accountant with over 20 years of experience in coaching, finance, training, facilitation, mentoring, and change management implementation. She's also the author of a best-selling book, The Amazing Race to Entrepreneurial Freedom. Georgina has delivered successful change programs and workshops in many organizations across England, Jamaica, Equatorial Guinea, and Canada. She was also a featured speaker at TEDx Port of Spain in October 2018. Georgina is originally from London, England. She has a beautiful accent, I must say. Prior to moving to Trinidad in 2001, she worked for the Economist Newspaper Limited and PricewaterhouseCoopers. Georgina, I believe you have the controls now, so you can just go ahead. We will take questions. We'll have Q&A at the end. This session will be interactive, so attendees, please use the chat as much as possible. Georgina, go ahead. You can take it away.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Can you just confirm you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so welcome, everyone. I'm really excited to be with you this morning. So I'm going to be talking around how to navigate the new or the next normal, depending on what phrase you want to use. So it's not going to be in the technical space like the previous speaker. This is more around the personal development space. And as Sinead said, I really want this to be interactive. As Anuncio said, around engagement, especially in this technology world we're now living in, our engagement is different, and even more so when it's virtual, because you could feel as a presenter that you're talking to yourself because you're not seeing faces, you're just seeing words on a grey screen. So really, typically when I am presenting, I always like to get some engagement with the audience. I think it makes it more enjoyable for yourselves, and also it allows me to know that people are there and listening. And also I want to thank everybody for being here, because of course you could be somewhere else and you chose to be with us this morning. So with regards to the new or next normal, there's so much change that's gone on in the world, and more than a year now, that we've had the corona or COVID-19 pandemic, and made me think about the Kubler-Ross change curve. So in 1969, a lady called Elizabeth Kubler-Ross came up with this curve, which was really around the 6 stages of grief. And over time, it's been the same emotions have been likened to major change in our lives. And definitely in the last 12 months or more, we've experienced so much change with the COVID-19 pandemic. And what Kubler-Ross shared is that there are a range of emotions that we go through during that time: shock, anger, frustration, blame, depression, or feeling low. And then at the bottom of that curve, if we're able to push through, we can move towards acceptance or problem solving. Now, as life is, this is not linear. So it's not like we go to shock, then anger, and then just nicely move through this curve. We will oscillate. So depending on what's going on around us, depending on how we engage with what's going around us, we may go to shock, we may jump to feeling low, then come back to frustration and blame and anger. But the important piece is really about pushing past the point of feeling low and getting to the place of acceptance. And acceptance, it doesn't necessarily mean you like the situation, but you're seeing the situation for what it is. And when you get to a place of acceptance, you're able then to push through to problem solving, because your energy and space now says, okay, this is the current situation. Now I can work out what to do next. So it's really important to see how best you can get to that place of acceptance that will support you and the people around you in moving forward. And also just wanting to share with you that, if you think about it, I'm sure each of you here are somewhere on this curve. And today you may be in one particular place and tomorrow you may be in another, or even later this afternoon. I'm really wanting to show this model to say that however you're feeling right now is fine, is normal, it's part of that whole change process that we're currently going through. So in terms of our talk today, I really wanted to just walk through some ways that you can navigate through this new or next normal. And I've chosen new and next because sometimes people talk about the new, but then the new is becoming the next and it keeps interchanging. So there are 5 ways that I wanted to share with you today that support you to navigate or continue to navigate through this time. So firstly, having an attitude of gratitude, then how one can take care of oneself, and then focusing on what you can control. Because a lot of times we focus on areas that maybe concern us, but we have no control. And then building our resilience. That's one of the key skills that we need to work on, or key characteristics we need to work on during this time, building our resilience. And then lastly, visualizing the future you want. So I just want to walk us through those areas. So the first one, attitude of gratitude. Really thinking about, I love this quote. We've got some quotes going through this, just in terms of acknowledging the good that you already have is really a foundation for abundance. But before I get into the areas of abundance, of gratitude, just want to quickly just say in the chat, just 2 things, just in terms of how are you feeling today? If you could just use the chat function and just share how you're feeling today. And then just think of one word using either your first or second initial of one word that describes a positive characteristic of yours. So for example, Georgina, I'll use G, and that's goal orientated. So just two things to put in the chat, just so I can feel that you're with me. One, how are you feeling today? Happy, sad, excited, and then using your first or last initial, choosing a word that's a positive characteristic. So I'd love if you're willing to engage with me. Okay, I can't see the chat, so unless I can.
Grateful is one word we have so far.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you, whoever that was. I really appreciate that. I'm grateful to you. Okay, so when it comes to gratitude, there's various studies about the impact of gratitude. Gratitude can actually help you feel motivated, energized, because it's where you choose to put your energy. So especially with the pandemic, there was so much was going on, and we're thinking about all the things that have been taken away from us. The lockdown, not being able to do our external activities. But when that happens, that really sucks our energy. And so a really important practice is to really think about, what are you grateful for? What is it you already have that you're grateful for? And in a session that we delivered before, talking about gratitude with clients, some of the things that came up that during the pandemic was more time with family, being able to be there with your children when normally you would be at work or working long hours. Thank you so much, Peter. Resilient. And so really thinking during this time, there is so much going on, but really thinking about, what are you truly grateful for? And having that is something to hold on with all that's changing. If you can find things that you are grateful for, they can become your rock in this changing environment. Thank you, Yolande. You know, they can become your, this can be, think about what you're grateful for can become your rock during this changing time. So I'll ask again, just for people who are willing to engage with me, what one thing in the chat that you are grateful for today? One thing that you're grateful for that you're willing to share in the chat. So it's really important. It helps you mentally to really think about what you're grateful for, where to put your energy. And also when you start thinking that way, you're able to start thinking forward in terms of what your goals are. Grateful for your family. Thank you, Crystal. Appreciate your engagement. All right, so in terms of gratitude, the next I want to move on to taking care of yourself, because there's some, thank you, Yolande. And again, another quote here. People often, I love this quote, people often say that motivation doesn't last, but neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. So a lot of times we think that we should do things only once, or once we've done something, it's in place. But really, especially even now, we do have to kind of recommit to the things we say we want to do in this changing environment. Now, there are so many ways that you can take care of yourself, and I've just thrown a few here. So moving your body. Our bodies are designed to move. And with this whole digital move to being remote working, Nancy has just shared with us, you know, we are moving considerably less. And I'll share a private, personal story. I started to find at the end of last year that one week I couldn't walk properly. I couldn't put my foot down. And I was really concerned what was going on. And when I went to my masseuse, she actually said to me, it wasn't my legs that were the issue, it was my back. And because I was sitting for a lot more than usual, because I'm actually a triathlete, and so I would normally be out, swimming, riding, running. But I was constantly at the computer, maybe just moving from the kitchen, from the desk to the kitchen and to the, to the bathroom. And she was saying that my body basically was under stress. My body couldn't understand what was going on. And because it was used to moving and really wasn't moving, it was trying to find out what the problem was. So it's really important that we take the time, consciously take the time to move, because we're not moving as much as we used to do. Like even if it's just walking to the car or walking to the office from the car park, or going to the shops on a weekend, or going out to seeing friends. So we really have to consciously take the time to move our bodies, whether it's exercise, whether it's just walking for a couple of hours. Now I bought myself a smartwatch, watching to check my steps a day. So these things that we really have to be more conscious of that we weren't necessarily before. And then the other is building inner strength. And for me, that's prayer and meditation, really taking that time to be still and go inwards, to really center myself with all the things that are going on. And each of us can find different ways to do that. But again, going inside to really find that grounding. And also filling yourself from your source. And in that, I mean, is, what do you consider to be your purpose? What is your why? So that with all the craziness that's going on, you can ground yourself. And then another one is monitoring your thoughts and your language. We all talk to ourselves, even if you don't want to admit it, but what are you saying to yourself? Are you actually having empowering? Are you telling yourself it's something empowering, or are you telling yourself disempowering? So what I share with coaching clients is that you really need to stop and really take stock of how you are talking to yourself. I say, this is never gonna change. I don't know what to do. And you send yourself in that spiral. Because if you can stop and be aware of your thoughts, you can then reflect and say, is this thought serving me, or do I need to reframe it so that how I'm speaking to myself supports me, supports the people around me? It's really important. And then manage your intake of news, of social media, especially if they're thoughts and comments that again don't serve you. or fuel your anxieties. And then some other areas, you know, I would say one of the positives coming out of the pandemic is more conversations, open conversations about mental health issues, whereas lots of times before, you know, it was shoved under the carpet. So, you know, if you are feeling you're not yourself during this time, you know, take care of yourself by seeking the help you need. You know, whether it's your going to your GP to have a conversation, or a lot of companies have their employee assistance programs. Seeking the help you need so that you can support yourself. And sometimes the support we need is through somebody else and not with ourselves. Then another would be, you know, setting an intention for each day. So it gives your day some structure, because especially with all the movement, and your days are not necessarily how they used to be. If you can give yourself an intention each day, you can help you focus and structure the day. Then confirming affirmations, coming up with an affirmation that can support you. So one of the affirmations I give myself is, I love myself and my body. And I will do all that I can to ensure that I stay healthy. So you'll come up with an affirmation that is important for you. So I'm just checking the time. I know we're supposed to finish around 12. And then connect with a close friend. So that would be good for you, but also for your friend. Check in, you know. Our ways now of checking in have changed, but we can be, you know, check in via Zoom with a friend. We do that now. You know, I've attended a bridal shower. No, sorry, not a bridal shower, a christening online, which I wouldn't have been able to, mostly wouldn't have gone before because it was in America. So we can connect with friends in different ways. And there's also, do something different each day. Bring yourself something into your life to do something different, to give yourself something to look forward to. So just a thought. So here I've got, again, just to put in the chat, what are some of the things that you could start to do to look after yourself, to take care of yourself during this time? Again, if someone could just, a few of you could just put something in the chat, either something that I've mentioned before, so let me show that back. Anything here that you could start doing that you're not doing currently? You could start from tomorrow. Love it if someone could share with me. Any takers? What could you start doing for yourself? Thank you, Yolande. Ensure that you stay walking. Great. Meditate. Thank you, Nicole. Non-sec. Definitely move more. Back issues. Meditate. Oh, lovely. Thank you so much. I'm loving the engagement. Loving the engagement. Okay. So next area is focus on what you can control. Thank you, Peter. Rest and relax more. Now, there's a lot of that goes on in our minds. And a lot of the times, our triathlon, yay. A lot of times, our minds are full of so many different things, but we have to make sure that we take control of where we choose to focus our energy and our thoughts. And this model here is an adaptation of Stephen Covey's circle of concern and circle of influence that he has in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's been adapted by someone called Claire Newton, and she takes it one step further in terms of focusing on what you can control. So a lot of times we would be worried about things that we have, or concerned about things that we have no control over. So COVID-19, when is it going to end? A lot of us can maybe take a lot of energy focusing on that, but we have no control over that. We do not know the answer to that. And then, so it's really then saying, okay, that may be a concern, but what can I influence? And if I stay then with the same COVID-19, maybe the influence, I can influence who I spend time with. I can influence potentially not getting COVID-19 by putting on my mask and abiding by social distancing. I can influence that. But what can I actually control? Well, I can actually control whether I stay at home or not. I can control my thoughts and feelings about the pandemic. So if we're able to distinguish between what we can control, what we can influence, what we're concerned about, we then channel our energy to what we can influence and what we can control, rather than we're concerned about but have no control over. So we have an awareness of it, but don't put your energy there, because you'll feel that there's nothing you can do. So you really want to focus on what you can influence or control, because then you can do something about it. And I love this kind of prayer from, I remember maybe the age of 14 when I first saw this, and this prayer just gave me such a relief, actually, and release. God grant me the sincerity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. This really underlines this model here. So again, just quickly in the chat, could you just put in one thing you believe that you have control over? One thing for yourself that you have control over, so you can start focusing your energies there, less than focusing your energies on what you are concerned about, that you have no control over. So, my thoughts. Thank you, Carol. Thank you so much. It's really important. So to really think about that model, and if you want to look it up, it's Claire Newton, and she has an exercise around it. So that'd be something, if you really wanted to delve a bit deeper into that. And these are some of the areas that Claire had in her model. Sports matches. People spend a lot of energy around the outcome of a sports match. Thanks, Yolande. The media. Cyber threats. So you talked about that. Now depending on where you are, you might be able to control those, or at least influence. And then other areas that Claire talked about in terms of influence, other people's actions. You can influence by your action, your reputation, where you work, and then your thoughts in terms of control, your thoughts, your actions, your moods, your work ethic. So there are a lot that we can actually control. Conscious it's 12 o'clock. And here in terms of building resilience, this is really, really key. And resilience being the ability to bounce back quickly after something has occurred. So it doesn't mean you fall out. It doesn't mean you don't fall over. It just means you bounce back. You can bounce back quickly and get functional again. So a quick question. Why do you think you succeed? Do you think you succeed because of your abilities or because of your efforts? What do you think? Do your abilities or your efforts? Now, great, thanks, Sinead. Oh, Annoncia, both. Wonderful. Okay. Now, it's said in studies, effort, thanks, Carol, that if you say effort, if you say abilities, then you have more of what they call an expert mindset. And if you said effort, that's more of a learner mindset. And we're socialized today, we must strive for being an expert. Now that is appropriate, but not always appropriate, especially in times of change, because you don't know what's coming. And therefore, if you lock yourself into an expert mindset, or it's also called a fixed mindset, sometimes you'll find that you will struggle if you're focused on being an expert in the situation, especially when it's new. So some of the
Sinead, did we lose Georgina?
I think we did. I think it's her connection. I'm seeing, yes,
Yeah, it
we
seems
lost her.
bandwidth
Yeah,
issues. Yeah.
yes. Okay.
I
Maybe
guess we weren't
let's.
really planning to leave at this point.
I think her internet was like, no, it's after 12. I'm sorry. Okay, let's give her a few seconds, see if she rejoins, if her connection if it
With the
improves by
acceptance
then.
of, I guess, everybody else who's on the meeting, if they could just stay on a couple of minutes so that she can close up. Yes.
Yes, please. Thank you. We would really appreciate it. Do we need to? I
Example
wonder
of
if
working remotely, I guess, yeah.
all this good stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder if she needs to try and reconnect. Let's see if we can contact her.
Yeah.
This is part of the new normal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
part
this
of
is
the
a
new
part.
normal.
Yeah. To adjust to these changes and unexpected situations.
Okay.
If
Hi,
She's getting in, no?
Georgina.
I'm not sure if that was a test in resilience or showing what I have no control over.
No problem, no problem. Okay, so let's continue, and yep, thanks again, participants.
I'm so sorry about that. Lost internet connection, it just disappeared. So let me just get back to yeah. Very appropriate, not so? All right, I'm back. All right, let me just find the right slide. Okay. It's definitely in, I found during this time, you just need to give me access again to share, please.
Yes, sure. Who would have it? Rosie, could you try?
Yep, there it goes.
All right, lovely, thank you. Okay, yeah, I've definitely found that during this change to remote working, that my ability to bounce back has come back a lot quicker, and also the fact that you just roll with it. All right, so some of the differences between having an expert mindset or a learner mindset. But having an expert mindset demonstrates mastery, but a learner mindset demonstrates growth. When you're faced with challenges as an expert in a new space, you may be tempted to avoid because you don't know what to do. Whereas if you're a learner, you're more likely to embrace it and test and challenge. When it comes to mistakes, experts can be quite defensive because they feel that they need to know and prove themselves. Whereas a learner, because you know it's new and you're open to that, the mistakes are okay. When it comes to deficiencies, an expert has a tendency to hide, or expert mindset tends to hide. And then with the learner mindset, you expose them. You say, look, I don't know, so how do I do this? And so you're really engaging with the experience rather than, say, hiding from it. And then lastly, when there's setbacks, you know, an expert mindset may be more predisposed to giving up because they find it more challenging, whereas a learner mindset be more likely to persist because, again, they've got their kind of explorer hat on. You know, let me see where this takes me. So especially in a time of change, having a learner mindset really supports you, and especially from a lifelong learning perspective, having a learner mindset is more rewarding because it will allow you to continue to keep moving and move forward, you know, passionately. And then the last step I had was visualizing the future that you want. And coming back to Stephen Covey, you know, he says start with the end in mind. If you don't know where you're going, you can't really plan the most effective route to get you there. So really, where do you want to take your life? You know, yes, COVID-19 has come, it's stopped us doing certain things, but we can take charge. We can take charge back of our lives and really say, you know what, this is where I want to go. This is what I choose to do. And some of the ways, you know, one of the things we've put here is, you know, support, you know, come up with a vision board. You know, what I have a coaching client And on his vision board, he had that he wanted to have children because him and his wife didn't have children. And we started working together about 1.5 years ago. And so when it was on his vision board, his wife wasn't pregnant. They just wanted to have kids. And guess what? Their daughter is 6 months old now. So, you know, really, you know, putting some intention behind what you want for your life. And, you know, and it's not just, you know, I advocate, it's not just a wish. Really, when you're putting your vision board together, is you're putting these things that you really want in your life. So there's a 9-step process here. I want to take you through that, because if you're interested in creating a vision board, we actually have a gift for you where we've created a practical how-to video with an accompanying workbook if you want to create your own vision board. And also we have another gift for you to support you on your journey, your career development journey, weekly 60-second business tips. And you should see the link for those 2 things in the workbook or in the chat, or you can use the email address that Rocio's just put. So in closing, so these are the ways that I've shared that you could navigate through the new normal or next normal. Have that attitude of gratitude. Focus on what you're grateful for. Take the time to take care of yourself. You know, we can't give, they say you can't give from an empty cup. You really want to give from your overflow. Focus on what you can control, not so much all the things you're concerned about. What can you control that makes you feel like you're a victor as opposed to a victim? Build your resilience, bounce back quickly. And lastly, visualize the future you want by, you know, creating a vision board, working through your goals and creating a vision board for you. That's how I actually ended up leaving the UK and coming to Trinidad. I had a vision that I wanted to work abroad. And I've been here now 20 years, it makes this year. So with that said, I just want to say thank you, everybody, and apologies for internet connections, which we can't control, but we can influence how we continue. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Georgina. We do have one question for you, but I don't know if you'd like to take it real quick, or yeah, okay, great, no problem, we can do that. So the question is, what competencies are needed to navigate the new/next normal?
Okay, so there are quite a few studies with the World Economic Forum. They've talked about critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration, digital literacy, definitely, and emotional intelligence. Those are the skills we really need to start to develop in the 21st century.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope that answers everyone's questions. Well, so yeah, let's do a quick closing. Dev, you can take it away from here.
So thanks, Sinead. So I'd like to give a vote of thanks to our outstanding panelists. I think both Nuncio and Georgina were outstanding and appreciated. So thanks much. Even more so, I'd like to thank our partners, VMware. Fujitsu and VMware have had a decades-long partnership towards, I like to say, solving IT problems, but it's more than that. It's solving problems, full stop. And I know we've gone over time, but if you have any questions, and you can reach someone in Fujitsu, if you know me, I think most of you all do, you can reach me on my email or my phone number if you have any further questions. All right, so thanks much, appreciate the assistance, and we hope we've given an outstanding presentation to everyone. Okay, cheers.
Thank you so much, Dev. Thank you, everyone.